Okay, gonna call to order and start the July 16th, 2025 meeting of the Climate Action Committee. The roll call, please.
All right, Committee Member Trott.
Here.
Thank you. Committee Member Simon.
Here.
Thank you. Committee Member Sampath is not present. And Committee Member D. Alexander.
Here.
Thank you. Vice Chair Lang.
Here.
Thank you. And Chair Burtis is absent.
Okay, we stand and salute the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to adjust the audio real quick. I'm still hearing some feedback.
Hearing system. Oh, is it? It's so echoey. No sound attenuation.
Okay, any public comment?
Okay, this is open time for public comment for agenda items that are not on the agenda. And checking for raised hands on the Zoom and not seeing any at this time.
Okay. So going to approval of the minutes from the June 18th, 2025 meeting. Are there any comments on the minutes? Is there a move to approve them?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, you were not there, so do you want a second?
Yes, I second it.
Okay, all those say aye? Aye. Okay. So we have a new committee member, Penelope Trott. Do you want to sort of briefly introduce yourself and your background?
Yeah, so my name is Penelope Trott. I'm a senior at Redwood High School right now. I've lived in Corte Madera for around 10 years. Yeah, I'm super passionate about like combating climate change and doing everything we can as a community to like work together and make even a small difference. And so I'm just really, really excited to be part of this.
Okay. Thank you. Chair and Vice Chair, go ahead.
Yes. So as this is the first meeting of the fiscal year, that's when we select our chair and vice chair. And I'm just going to share my screen and just walk us through this process. So as I said, first meeting of the year, we have these elections. So any committee member is eligible to be nominated or to nominate themselves for chair or vice chair. And we just need a majority vote to appoint those positions. If a committee member is unable to attend this first meeting, they can be nominated and elected based on a prior verbal or written statement that they would accept the position. So in this case, Pat, our current chair, is absent, and he has stated that he's willing to continue as chair if elected. In terms of the qualifications for these officer positions, the committee doesn't have any adopted sort of bylaws as some other advisory bodies do, but these are the sort of qualities that are typically considered: being active on the committee, including attending meetings and taking on tasks to advance the committee's goals, being an able and willing communicator, and being able to attend and lead the majority of committee meetings during the 1-year term, the term is being the fiscal year, or in the case of the vice chair, be willing and able to support the chair as needed. The duties of the chair are first to preside over the committee meetings, maintain an orderly procedure, and make sure the meeting is running smoothly, essentially. And that includes recognizing committee members who would like to speak and making sure everyone has an opportunity to contribute to the discussion, setting and monitoring time limits for members of the public during public comment time if needed, making sure that the committee follows the Brown Act requirements for public meetings. And then outside of meetings, the chair serves as the primary liaison to staff, helps set the agendas for the meetings along with the vice chair, and participate in sort of goal setting and monitoring progress throughout the years. And then again, with the Brown Act requirements, being aware of that both during and outside of meetings. For the vice chair position, the vice chair presides over the meetings when the chair is not able to attend, helps develop and review agendas prior to publication, as well as support the chair in those other tasks. And if there were to be a vacancy in the chair position in the midst of the fiscal year, the vice chair would step up to fill that position. So with that, we'd be looking for any nominations for chair or vice chair. And then a motion. The motion needs to have a second. And then if we have a motion and a second, then we'd call for a vote with all those in favor, all those opposed, to make the appointments as chair and vice chair.
So I'll have a motion to nominate Pat.
Okay. Do you want to do chair and vice chair at the same time, or you can do them separately if you prefer?
No, I'll just nominate Pat. Yeah, for chair.
I would second that.
And so Karen, you can call for a vote. All
Okay,
those in favor.
would we like to vote on having Pat as chairman of the committee for this upcoming year? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye. Yep.
Aye. Okay.
Great. So we have selected Pat as chair. And so we now need a vice chair nomination. And you can nominate yourself if you'd like to be considered for the position.
I guess I'll just ask, Karen, I know you just kind of took on the vice chair role temporarily. So just curious if that's something you're interested in continuing or not.
I would continue it, but also if others would like to get involved, I can certainly step aside, but I would continue.
Okay.
Mhm.
In that sense, I might make a motion for Karen as vice.
Second that.
Okay. Okay, let's take a vote.
Vote.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
And these are for 1 year, is that correct? Okay,
Yes.
great.
So every fiscal year is when the
Yeah.
reselection process happens.
Yeah, I guess, I'm happy to do it. I would love to see, I'm not going to say a rotating, but, everybody else kind of come up and join in. Be good. Okay. Great. So then that takes us to general business. And the first agenda item is the introduction of the new student ambassador. Sarah.
Yes. Oh, we're very excited about this. So Brittany's here with us today, and she's a rising senior at Redwood High School, and she's really demonstrated a lot of leadership and passion for climate resiliency and environmental equity through her work at Redwood. And she's really demonstrated herself as someone who consistently advocates for policies and initiatives that reflect the values and perspectives of students. And so with that perspective, we're super thrilled to have her in this role serving the committee. And her and I had a chance to sit down and talk about the duties of the role for our preliminary meeting. And she also had an opportunity to join us at the 4th of July tabling event,
Okay.
which we're very excited about. And I would love to invite Brittany if you would like to just share a little bit about yourself, just what interested you about this role and some of your interests at school.
Hi, my name is Brittany Blair. Sarah already introduced me, but I'm a rising senior at Redwood High School. I found this committee really compelling because I really want to draw a relation between the Redwood High School students, or just broader high school students in the area, to climate change and getting them actively seeking ways to better our environment and just the world that we live in today. I think that's really important. And we know that Corte Madera is doing a lot already, especially this committee, but I think bringing a teen's perspective into this is something that would be really valuable in our experience in shaping climate change action. And I'm really excited for my role, so thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Okay. So 4th of July event. Would you like to kick that off?
Sure, I can start. I think this agenda item was a request from the previous meeting just to have a recap of the 4th of July and discuss what worked well, what didn't, and maybe what we want to carry forward into future events, namely the Lions Club car show, which is coming up in September. So I can just share sort of my experience and the engagement that I saw. So the committee had the raffle set up where people were pledging to take a climate action and then they could enter in the raffle. We had about 20 raffle participants and we did select a winner. They were notified last week and picked their Burmatown gift card. And she was very excited to be the winner. So I think that was a successful engagement point. And the pledges were very varied. We had everything from driving less, consolidating trips, biking more, picking up trash. We had one person pledge to make their next vehicle an EV. And one sort of takeaway I had was it seemed like the most effective engagement happened when there was a sort of a pitch from the staffers at the booth that helped to draw people in. So my recommendation for the next event would to be focused on the talking points document that I shared we had in previous years and sort of update that and have a really concise 1 or 2 sentence pitch to lead in with to get people engaged because they may be coming up just to grab a piece of candy or a temporary tattoo. Those were popular with the kids. But that doesn't really bring them in to ask more questions. So that would be my recommendation. And Sarah and Karen, you were both there at different points in the day, and Phil, actually, you were all 3 there. So feedback and experience.
Yeah, it was helpful for me to see the event in action, having not attended it before. And I did find, to Phoebe's point, having one, items on the table to bring people over. The candy was a big hit with the kids. And that also brought their parents along. So that did help kind of drive some initial interest to get people over to the table. And I think Phoebe's point about having like a really simplified pitch and action for people who are passing by is a really good one. And I'd be happy to work on that script document and see if we can really kind of streamline it for the car show for the next one. But I was pleased to see people stopping by and having some engagement with the table, and to have people engage with the pledge activity, and to have a lot of those pledges be in the transportation sort of category of sustainability action, in accordance with the carbon footprint of the town that we had up at the table as well. And I think having some kind of incentive activity like the gift card giveaway did help people take that extra action that we were asking from them for the table. And if that's to be continued with other tabling events, I think having that incentive is helpful for getting people to participate. But overall, I enjoyed the event and getting to meet people who were part of the community, to hear some of their perspectives on climate actions they take and are interested in taking in the future to benefit kind of our greater whole.
I think it was the first event that we've had where people were actually actively engaged in doing something like making their pledges and posting it on the board. And I think anything that is in that general environment of our table is a good thing. And I think it'd be a good idea to maybe expand that if we could a little bit more to draw more people in. If we could do something a little farther away where people are actually walking by and try to promote them to come see us.
Can I ask you guys a question? Do you think having the booth there and having people, post pledges with Post-its move the needle at all in terms of the participants?
Like participants in like engaging in climate action?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's like very difficult to measure, but at least in some capacity, we did have people who theoretically committed to taking an action. So at least we have a quantifiable of 20 individuals who committed to doing what they wrote down on the Post-it note. So in that sense, we do have at least some kind of metric that we can get from the event in terms of some community participation in climate action. It's very difficult to measure after the fact, but at least we had some people thinking about things that they can do to reduce their footprint, from my perspective.
I guess, people, I've been on this committee for a couple of years, and I guess this is only the second probably event I've attended. I think it's good to show that the Corte Madera has a climate action committee. I find the majority of the people are more concerned with 4th of July than climate action. And, I'm sort of on the fence about how worthwhile it is. I guess my take was people are there really for the 4th of July, but we had a lot of material there, which I'm not sure people were really aware of. Perhaps if we had bigger signs, general climate actions you can do, or, charging or different things, so that people could, if they really are there on their way to get their corn dog, they could actually just stop by and pick up information. In terms of engaging conversation, I think I had 3, maybe short conversations with people over 3 hours. So I don't know. And I certainly, have talking points, but mainly I was just trying to engage them in what are your interests and, what can I help you with? And, and if they ask what you do, et cetera. But anyway, but maybe I can open this up a little bit to some fresh eyes here. So as you could gather, Penelope, and I'm sorry, your name is? Brittany. So we were there at the 4th of July event. You were there for a while, Brittany? Yes. What are your suggestions? Do you think people are really for climate change, we had a bunch of information, a posted pledge. It's kind of catching you off guard. Do you have any suggestions as to what we might do to engage people? Yeah, go ahead, Brittany. Yeah.
I think we had a pretty good spot, but I think for the main part, it was like kind of further away from the main attraction. So I think like kind of getting closer to almost like the 4th of July parade or like kind of where the other tents are. I mean, I know there's kind of that space needed just for the Corte Madera area because I know we had like the playground structure, those like that kind of stuff like there too. So I'm not really sure if like you're able to move it. But then also I think having larger posters with more graphics and instead of like posters with lots of like words, I mean that's not really like drawing people in. You'll see it from a distance, but you can't really read it. But if we find some like huge like infographic with a design or something and then kind of a fact that we know about like our own Corte Madera um, like climate change committee, that kind of stuff, or like our pollutions, like what percent of, because like most of it comes from cars, like we have that transportation. But I think if we kind of like have a more interesting like drawing and fact that we can use and just like do that and more simpler stuff instead of a bunch of kind of words on a sheet, that would be more attracting. Not to say that it was bad. I think it was amazing. I just
Yeah, I know those are good suggestions. Yeah.
And Karen, while we're taking public comment, I'll just check for public comment online as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
And we did not receive any emailed public comment for this item, and I'm not seeing any hands raised on Zoom at this time.
Okay, I'm sorry. And I think Penelope had a.
I didn't get the chance to be there, but I kind of agree with what Brittany's saying, having something that hooks you in and then we can get people talking. But I was also wondering just how much, if there's a way to get a little bit more of like an actual way to track the amount of change that these things actually have, like possibly instead of it being more of an information table, I'm not sure if this is possible, but having an event later on where you can actually take some actions, like even if it's just helping with something in the community that could possibly help combat climate change, but having people actually working together in action instead of just giving them something to read, just as a way to get people more involved, but still having these tables as a way to bring people's attention to the actual events. Like, I'm not sure if we're able to host events but something like that.
Do you have any example like for you can think of?
Off the top of my head, I'd say even just an actual information session that gets people committed to attending, I think would be interesting to see if that would have any like benefits of people having a time to commit to, and it's more of a meeting sense in the way that we do it here.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. The comment. So on to the next agenda item, which is discussion of the outreach to promote multifamily EV charger installations. And I think Phoebe and Phil have updates. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I can start with bringing up the postcard draft that was included in the agenda packet. So this is the revised postcard and incorporates some of the feedback that the committee gave at the last meeting. Make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so the changes that were made to this, it looks pretty similar to the version that was presented at the last meeting, but the bullet points were revised. So we added a bullet point about the town's reduced permit fees for EV charging projects. And that's also referenced in the sort of call out box next to the QR code. And then we removed one of the data points around EVs and just highlighting that one about 40% of all light duty new vehicles are EVs. And then also mentioning the technical assistance on this page. And then on the back, on the reverse of the postcard, we made some minor clarifying edits to the text and then added the word rebate in this table, just so it's really clear that those are the rebates. And then Sarah, you had also suggested QR code tracking. That's not something that I've done yet because it's a paid feature, unless you know of any free ones. So, but I will set that up before we mail the postcard out. And then I've also been working on putting together the mailing list, and it's not finalized yet, but what it's looking like right now is about 22 multifamily properties, and that covers 704 living units. And so we'd be mailing to the property owner's address. We could also consider just mailing to the address as well, or printing extras and sort of hand delivering them to places that actually have a leasing office and trying to get in contact with someone that way, as well as having extra copies on hand for the car show and other events. So is there any feedback on the revised postcard draft?
I have one quick comment. I would just change the ordering on the first page, put the rebates first and the reduced permits second in that introductory sentence. I think the 4,500 stands out better as the first item.
Mm-hmm. Good. Any
I
other?
think it's looking great that, yeah, the only other thought I had was I saw the email that you forwarded, Phoebe, about the budget reconciliation bill and how some of the incentives are going away. And I don't know if the rebates that we talked about on the postcard have a deadline like some of the other things that we've been seeing. But if it does, we could include that deadline.
The deadline is for government. This is strictly with MCE.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
So
Yeah.
these ones do not have an end date.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, I think it looks great.
All right. Well, I will work on wrapping that up and hopefully get it out
And
soon.
hey, have we heard from MCE at all? Or is that just kind of on hold?
Yeah, I have not heard an update from them on the email side.
We're just going ahead. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Is there any way to track if someone calls MCE because of this postcard? I guess we just won't know then, huh?
Yeah, it would be, I don't know that they have
Yeah.
that kind of information on the
Yeah.
intake form, although they might. So we can certainly ask them to let us
Even
know if there's
anecdotally. Yeah.
an uptick in Corte Madera
Yeah. Okay.
contacts.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Bill, do you?
Just an update on my offer to the Marin Rental Property Owners Association regarding my willingness to meet with them and discuss construction technicalities with installing EV chargers in their buildings. The secretary is I gave the secretary an outline and he's going to present that to the board to discuss whether they want to hear from me or not. So I'm just awaiting that. I haven't heard back from him. I offered to meet with him and if he wanted to before he meets with the board, and I haven't heard from him, but at least we're moving ahead with that.
Just a question. Did you say you might have MCE join you or?
That was part of my outline, and I said that could be a possibility, but we're leaving a space for that. And, to coordinate that, if we want to do that, then I think that we ought to have a practice session with some of their technical people, or I should, to see how we're going to approach it.
Okay, updates and reports.
And just check for
Oops, sorry.
public comment
Public
quickly on this item before we move on.
Okay.
And not seeing any hands raised on Zoom, comments in person or emailed comments. So yes, in that case,
Okay, sorry, updates.
we're sailing right through this agenda. All right, so I do have a few updates. Wanted to start with building code updates. So we've been sort of discussing the past couple meetings about this state bill called AB 306 that's been moving through the legislature. And that bill would prohibit changes to the building code for 6 years. Was being proposed sort of in response to the fires in LA, but applies statewide. And council approved, and we submitted a letter of opposition to that bill. Unfortunately, it was added to the budget trailer bill, AB 130, and at the very last minute was added to that bill along with a host of other measures that are not particularly budget related. But so it has passed as part of that bill and was signed into law. So the final text of the bill did change slightly from previous versions. Just to give some context for new members, usually the state building code is updated every 3 years, and local jurisdictions have the opportunity to modify the state building code and go above it to address local conditions. So that's something that we've taken advantage of to promote EV charging infrastructure and green building. So the bill does have an exception that allows local code amendments that are substantially similar. That's the language that the bill uses, to be readopted and continue on to future code cycles. So we do have the opportunity to readopt the elements of our existing REACH codes that still go beyond the REACH, beyond the 2025 building code. The 2025, the state-based code, which has already been adopted by the state and will go into effect on January 1st, 2026, is very strong. There's been a lot of advancements from the previous code cycle. And in the EV charging color green section, for example, many of the requirements in the state-based code are now exceeding our REACH code requirements. So there's only a few areas where our REACH code is still going beyond the state code. And another sort of key section that we look at is the energy code, and that has also really advanced. They're now using heat pumps as the baseline for both space and water heating. So those are the biggest users of natural gas in a home. So it is addressing the largest sources of emissions, although we had hoped that the state would go further than that and really require all electric. So one piece to note here is that in this latest version of the bill, it used to say that the moratorium on code changes would start on, I think, June 30th. It, for some reason, was changed to October 1st of this year. So some jurisdictions are trying to rush to adopt amendments before October 1st. And that's not something that we are recommending, because our reading of the bill and our attorney's reading of the bill is that the codes not only need to be adopted by the jurisdiction, which is a challenge in itself, as that's only a few months away, but approved by the state agencies and actually be in effect by September 30th. And the state approval process can take months on its own. So we don't feel that there's enough time to adopt any changes before that deadline. We also, as I said, we feel that the base code is very strong, and the reach codes that we have, we're going to be able to carry forward, and those are addressing our major sources of emissions. So the other main reach code beyond the EV requirements that we've adopted is the single family renovation energy reach code for projects over 750 square feet. And that existing residential single family homes are the major users of natural gas in Corte Madera. So we feel that we're addressing those emissions, and the rush to try and adopt something before the deadline, which likely would not be successful, may ultimately not have a huge benefit regardless. So just wanted to update you all on that. It's kind of a lot. We will be bringing back likely at the next meeting more details on what's in the 2025 code, what elements of our REACH code we're planning on moving forward into the new code cycle, and any new developments. I mean, this is still, I think the budget bill was signed maybe July 2nd. So we're still waiting for guidance from state agencies about how they're interpreting this bill. A lot of jurisdictions are in the same space. They're just trying to figure out what this means for them. So I'll have more detail at the August meeting, but it's likely that we'll be moving forward with 2025 code adoption in September.
So a question.
Yeah.
So Phoebe, as trying to recall the reach codes, which are pretty detailed, but as I recall, Corte Madera had, I mean, there seemed to be a point system, and then it was homes by vintage. And will Corte Madera, basically codes by vintage of sorts. So will Corte Madera be able to carry that forward?
Yes, we believe so. We believe that the substantially similar exemption will allow us to readopt that. That's the single family energy reach code in its entirety.
Okay.
One other thing I'll note, because Phil brought it up earlier, there is another exemption that's in the law, is if a jurisdiction's general plan has language around reach codes as an adopted general plan strategy, then you can still adopt reach codes. So some jurisdictions, which include the county, have very specific language in their general plan around adopting reach codes. And so they are evaluating using that exemption to continue to make changes to their flex path. For example, they have the same almost the same single family energy reach code as we do. And so they're considering changing their threshold from 750 square feet of a renovation size down to 500, which is what the city of San Rafael has in their code. So just wanted to note that some jurisdictions are taking that approach. We haven't yet done a detailed analysis of our general plan to be able to say with any confidence whether that's an avenue we can pursue, but it's something our attorney is looking at.
I have one other question. So I'm gathering that, again, I'm trying to recall the old reach codes, but the existing, there doesn't seem to be a compelling need to fight this or to try and get it more stricter codes. Is that your general sense?
I would say generally, yes. The state code is very strong, and our reach codes are really targeted towards the major sources of emissions. It is, this is not the process that we're used to as local government staff. We're used to this 3-year cycle, and having the chance to really review and vet any potential changes with you all and with the community and building community. So it is unfortunate that we haven't had the chance to fully discuss potential changes. However, I'm not sure if we would have ended up recommending any of those changes either way.
Okay.
Okay, so more to come on that at the next meeting. Another update, I think I sent an email out to everyone, but as it was mentioned, the federal tax credits are expiring. I put together a newsletter article about that, which will be going out this week or next week. But if you have any other thoughts on ways that we can get that information out to the community and encourage people to make changes now if they're planning on it, just something to keep in mind. And then finally, I also sent out the new attendance requirements for serving on an advisory body and just wanted to highlight that for everyone. The requirement is now 75, a minimum of 75% of meetings in the fiscal year. It was previously up to 4 absences a year, which didn't really align with our cycle as a committee. It's on the fiscal year, and sometimes we cancel meetings. So then if you still only had 4 to miss. So just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of that and make sure that you're, of course, we'd like you to be here for all of the meetings, but need to meet that minimum of 75% in order to continue being on the committee.
I have a comment on the prior item, which is the rebates. Just a thought here. We have 2 very creative, probably I'm generalizing, social media savvy participants here. I'm wondering, could we put more notices of the rebates that are going away on social media and maybe have the youth get together, Sarah, and figure out some dynamic way of doing that? Is that a thought? I don't know.
Yeah, we have, so the town's social media channels are just Facebook and Nextdoor,
Right.
but we could definitely put something on there as well.
Yeah, I would like to, I like the thought of graphics and, you can probably think of something a bit more dynamic than maybe me at least. I don't know. It's a thought.
Is it only Nextdoor and you said Facebook? Is
yeah.
that like the only ones allowed, or is it just because I know a lot of people might be drawn to Instagram or I think Instagram is would be a strong way to get more viewership, if that works.
Yeah, I think would be a larger discussion if we were to create a new town social media account. But I do tend to agree with you that probably Facebook is not where a lot of people are these days.
Is that something you'd be willing to take on, Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and do that and work? 'Cause sounds like I think you guys could have some good ideas in terms of communication. I don't know. Okay.
And that's all I have for staff updates.
Okay.
Do we have any committee member updates? That would be next.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have updates on the committee?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I attended the County Climate Action Collaborative, and I attended that last Thursday, and Derek Johnson, his new county exec, spoke, and he's the county, and probably Phoebe knows more about the nuts and bolts of this than I do, but the county is apparently hiring new people to actually centralize their climate efforts. And he came from San Luis Obispo, where their climate action plan won a national award for the best climate action plan of anybody. And he's very climate oriented, and is saying that we have in the county that we're facing a lot of infrastructure issues to the tune of 20 or 30 billion dollars over the next few decades. And he says there's radical decisions we're going to need to make. So we have somebody in the county who's, a leader who's very involved in that and interested in climate action, and that's encouraging. There's also, at the meeting was noticed there's an event called an Amber Stop, and that's put on by fire department, and they're looking for climate groups to participate in that. They have a bunch of booths, and there's apparently a very high level of engagement there because people who are attending that event are people who are interested in resilience and sustainability. So I don't know to what extent we can participate as a group, or if we have to just stay in Corte Madera, or if we can go to something like that. But if we can, then I'd be interested in doing that. It's on September 6th.
Does that primarily address wildfires?
I'm sorry.
Does that event primarily address wildfires?
It does, but they want climate groups in the meeting as kind of an auxiliary part of it, because the interest in fire is piqued by the interest in climate. They go hand in hand, and so they're really interested in getting climate groups involved in that. So I have contact information if we want to, or if we're able to participate in that in some way. Also, the September 27th is the date of the Green Home Tour in Marin County, and that would be something that I like to attend because you can engage with people and talk about energy in the home. I remember when I lived at Sea Ranch, green building meant building something that was aesthetically fit into the landscape, and now it's something else.
Is that something you want to check into if we want to or should participate in Ember Stomp? Are we committed, or does that work?
But let's connect on that after the meeting.
Okay. Okay, so the next would be future agenda items. Two things. One is there was a suggestion to look at graphics for the presentation, the car shows in September. So if we want to have any additional graphics, we would need to work on that now. So
Yeah, we do have the posters that we had last
Right.
year. So maybe if there's a group that wants to take a look at those and see if they are still relevant, or if we want to create something different, I can send those out after the meeting.
okay, what's the size group that we're looking for that? It can be no more than 3.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm happy to take that on.
Okay, and I love that those two. Okay, so we have 3. Okay, and I certainly be willing to help, but if the numbers are constrained or the Brown Act, then I'll step aside. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so Sarah, I'll send those to you. Is there anyone else that would like to review, or Karen?
Yeah, as well, but I'd like to get Penelope and Brittany somehow involved. Does Brittany count as, it's the number of people, right?
No, it's the number of committee members.
Good.
Yeah.
We can all four do it. Okay, great. Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, I think, the two of us, and it would be great if we could all collaborate. See, yeah.
Did you have any other future agenda items, Karen? I have a couple.
The only other, so it would be, graphics, and then potentially how to get the end of the government rebates on social media. That would be, maybe Sarah could provide an update. And Phoebe, we're going to look into whether we wanted to do an update of the KPIs next month or not.
Yeah,
You're pretty
I'm
sure
pretty
September?
sure September.
Okay. So let's hold off on that till September. So those are the two. Is that correct?
Great. Yeah, so what I have on my end is we have the 2023 greenhouse gas inventory is now available. So Christina Rourke, who's the sustainability coordinator for the Marin Climate and Energy Partnership, who does those inventories, is going to come present that update. As I mentioned, the building code adoption, I'll have an item on that and some more information for you all. Karen, you already brought up the car show. So I think along with those materials,
Yeah.
identifying volunteers for the event,
Mhm.
need to get that done since it is September 13th.
Right.
And actually, I might send out a poll for that even before the next meeting so people get it on their calendar. And then finally, if we have an update on the EV charging outreach, might have that continued again.
Yes. I know Pat wanted to think about having another workshop related to heat pump water heaters. Maybe we put that on the agenda when he's here and see if people are up for that, to do it again. Need get a date in the fall. Okay. Yeah, I'd kind of like to see the how many building permits have been taken out to see. I'm sure it's not significantly different from last year, but interesting. Okay. Okay. Further items? Boy, my gosh, we're done. Okay. The next meeting of the Climate Action Committee is scheduled for August 20th at 4:30. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.